Hi, this is Nick Laiacona from Performant Software Solutions. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create a digital edition using FairCopy and Edition Crafter. A digital edition is an online reproduction of a primary source, such as a literary or historical manuscript. These texts typically feature a precise transcription and sometimes translations into other languages. Often the text is displayed with a high-resolution image of a manuscript with the transcription or translation to the right. Text is sometimes presented diplomatically, preserving the layout, deletions, additions, and marginal notes as they appear in the original. Here is a simple digital edition that we are going to create today. The website we are looking at is being hosted by GitHub Pages, a free hosting service provided by GitHub. To follow along, you will need to create a free GitHub account if you don't already have one. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to download and install FairCopy. FairCopy is a specialized word processor for the study and transcription of primary sources in literature and history. It is designed to help scholars create digital editions of primary sources. We can use FairCopy to create a TIXML file, which is the format that Edition Crafter uses to publish editions. We can download FairCopy for free on the FairCopy website. We only need to do this once, and then it will be available on your computer. Choose your operating system and click Download. Once the download is complete, we'll want to click on the installer to install FairCopy and automatically run it. Next time we run it, we can find FairCopy in the Start bar on Windows or in the Apps folder on Mac OS. Let's create a new project for our edition. I'm going to call my edition DCE Demo. Let's pick a place on our computer to store this file. The Documents folder seems like a logical place to store this file. Let's give the project file a name and create it. For this demonstration, we are going to be using images and text borrowed from the Library of Congress's collection of Alexander Hamilton's papers. We are going to publish a single letter from these papers. The Library of Congress publishes the images of these pages in a format called IIIF manifests. Working with one of these manifests is ideal because they contain all of the page images in the correct order. They also provide a high-resolution version of the images, which is very useful when working with manuscripts and other historical texts. Okay, switching back over to FairCopy, if we click on the IIIF import button, paste our link, click on the globe, and select the facsimiles that are loaded here inside of this IIIF manifest, we can import them, and then that will create a TEI file. We can see Alexander Hamilton's papers here. We can see that it's loaded the images into a facsimile element. And we can see the letter that we are after here, the first letter. And then that's the beginning of the second letter. The second letter starts on page 6. So we're just going to keep the first letter. So let's go ahead and remove everything but the first letter. And this is also the outside of the manila folder, so let's remove that as well. There. Now we just have the images of the letter. So let's associate this with some text. So I already have prepared a plain text file that has the transcription in it. If we go over to here and select Source Doc, then hit Select Files, and I'll just grab this hamilton.txt file from my computer here. And now if we open that up, we can see that we have a lineated transcription of the letter ready to go in TEI format. So now what we need to do is associate this surface with the first image. So let's give it a facsimile attribute, which is the attribute that will store that association. And then if I click on here, select the first image, Now you can see that the first image is linked to the surface. So now it's all one big surface. So we want to kind of subdivide this into 3 surfaces. So let's add a new surface here. Click on the surface, associate it with the second image, and do the same for the third page. We hit Control Enter to break this surface into 2, like that. Delete the extra lines, extra blank lines out of here by just backspacing them away. And select the third image. There we go. We won't worry about the last image there. So now that's all set. And now we can take this. This is some text that was deleted in the original. So let's go ahead and take this struck through text. Mark it as a deletion. So we'll use the del tag, and we can get rid of these brackets. Okay. So now that we have a basic draft of our transcription prepared, let's go ahead and export this as a TEI XML file. That's the file format that Edition Crafter needs to be able to process and publish our edition to the web. So the first thing we're going to want to do is go up a level here to click on this Edit Document Properties button. We're just going to change the ID to something shorter because this is going to become our file name. So let's just call it Hamilton. And then when we come up here, we can see that the ID is Hamilton. If I select this and hit Export, I'm just going to export this to my desktop. And so now on my desktop, I have a file called hamilton.xml. Okay, so now we're going to set up our project using Edition Crafter. The Edition Crafter project provides this template repo here, Edition Crafter Project React, and we can make our own copy of this by clicking on Use This Template and then clicking Create New Repository. Let's go ahead and put this in our organization and give it a name. We'll call it DCE Demo. And then let's include all the branches so we get the GitHub Pages branch, and we'll make it public so that other folks can reference this if they want to take a look at it later. Okay, so now this is copying that into my own repository, which I can then use to create my edition. You can go ahead and we can see that it's generated from that template. And if we go ahead and click on the code button, we can then create our own code space, which will be our own environment in which we can work on this. And it'll include all the dependencies and things we need to get started. Okay, when you get to this point, you still need to wait a little bit longer because it needs to run this initialization script. You can see our README comes in here, and then it will run a one-time script to install Edition Crafter's command line tool. So let's just wait for that. Okay, great. So now we can see if that worked. We can type Edition Crafter, hit the command line here. We should see the help. So it shows us all of the help for how to use it, and we can see that this is version 120. So we've got a README here that automatically displays and tells you a little bit about how to set things up. There are instructions here for how to configure it. So let's go ahead and do these initial setup instructions. We only have to do this once, and then it'll be set up. So the first thing we want to do is edit the Astro config file here. And in here, we need a base directory. So this is just going to be, in the case of code spaces, this is just going to be the name of our repo. So I'm going to change that to DCE Demo. And then I also need to come into the data directory and edit the config.json file. And same thing here, I'm going to do /DCE demo and then DCE demo for this document name is what's going to be displayed in Edition Crafter in the title bar. Let's just call this Hamilton letter. And then this document ID is going to be the same as the ID we gave it in FairCopy, which is just Hamilton. Okay, let's hit save. So that's all set up. Let's go back to our README for a second. And yeah, so we edited Astro, edited that. So that's good. Now we need our TEI XML file that we created. Let's right click on this data folder here and say allow. And then we'll come down here to say upload. And then we'll upload this hamilton.xml file from our computer, not the text file, but the XML file. That's the TEI XML file. And we can see all the code that's inside that XML file. We don't need to worry about that, but that's what it exported when we did that from FairCopy. Edition Crafter knows what to do with this. So if we come down to the command line here, down here at the bottom, resize this a little bit so that you can see it. If we type Edition Crafter here and then just say process, and then we're going to specify an input file, so we do -i data/hamilton.xml, just the file we just uploaded. And we're going to say -o, and we're going to point that at the public directory of this project. Those are the files that are going to be visible on the web. And then for -u, we're going to need the actual URL that it's going to have as a GitHub page. So for this, you're going to want go over here to pages. We're going to want this URL right here. So copy link address. Come back in here. And let's paste that in here where this is going to live. So it does its thing, says it's finished. We can see that now there's some new files here in the public directory. In here we can see that we have a IIIF manifest and some images for each of the different pages. So that looks good. So now we're going to check all of this in. We're going to commit it. And so if we come up here to where it says this number 14, these are all the files that we changed from the original. So let's just call this initial draft, hit commit, and now I'm just going to say always, hit sync changes. Okay, don't show again. No. Okay, so now let's put it all up onto GitHub. Okay, so here we are back on the repo page. If we take a look at the Actions tab, we can see that our site is being built here, doing a static build of our website. Once that's complete, we'll be able to host it. So we'll allow that to run. Okay, great. Now if we go over and take a look at this here, now it's taking that built site and deploying it, and all this is happening automatically. It was all triggered by the fact that I checked in the code. And then once the code is checked in, it just automatically updates the website. So we can see that it's now deploying the site, and once that's completed, it'll give us a link. And now if we click on this link, here's our edition. So we can see that this is page 2 here, and there's our text, there's our deleted section, here's our deep zoom window, and we can see that we have all the pages that we added. And so now this is out on the web, hosted by GitHub Pages. So we built into FairCopy the ability to preview your edition right in FairCopy. So you can do all of that iteration within FairCopy, and then once you have something you're happy with, you can publish it out to the web. So let me show you that. Okay, so here we are back in our FairCopy project, and let's say that we wanted to also mark this word as deleted. So we would go and use the del tag like we did before and remove these brackets just by backspacing off them. And then now there's this button up here in the toolbar, this preview button. If you click on that, it brings up a new window. If we click on the documentary tab, we can see here's Edition Crafter again, but this time we're just inside FairCopy. And so if we click on page 2, we can see that change we just made was immediately applied. And so this provides you an environment which you can iterate until you get to the version you want to publish. Thanks for watching. For more information about Performant software and some of our digital humanities projects, you can go check us out at performantsoftware.com. Have a good one.